Hi, thanks for joining me. Today I've got a special guest, Mike Lowe. Welcome.
Thank you.
The reason I wanted you on the show is because of the fact that you have a history of coming to Fernie, but when you took your early retirement, you decided to make Fernie a permanent home.
That's correct.
So I wanted to know, first of all, how you heard about Fernie.
Wow, that's, I think the first time I came here was in 1982. I was a student in university and I had a job in Calgary. And I was going to the University of Waterloo, so I was all the way out west here, and some of my friends had told me about this place to go ski, because we had skied in Ontario, but it was quite...
So are you from Ontario originally then?
I was born in Toronto.
Ah.
And I went to Waterloo University, an engineering degree, and then had work terms out here in Calgary.
Oh, I thought you were from Calgary for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're an Ontario boy.
Yeah, and I had grown up in, going to the lakes all the time up north of Toronto, and eventually ended up moving up there for high school. So I went from a big city to a little city, just like I did when I came from Calgary to Fernie.
Hey, you must like little places.
Yeah, I find them much more friendly and get to know a lot more people than we can. We didn't even know our neighbors well in Calgary.
So when you got to Calgary, did you come for a job? Is that what you
I did.
said?
I finished my student work terms out there, and then they offered me a job with IBM in Calgary, and I stayed there ever since.
So were you working on computers then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a systems engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, did that computer stuff.
Yeah.
Like we all had to. But no, Fernie's been since '82 when I first arrived, it was a wonderful spot. I loved it.
And you decided to stay. So what were some of the things that you got involved with? Because I know you did.
Oh, well, let's see.
Weren't you involved with FAST?
No, with fire.
With fire.
With the disabled ski program.
Yeah.
So in Calgary, I was a member of the board there for the provincial disabled ski program. And when I came here, I joined up with Grace Berlot, who had started the program here in Fernie, and became an instructor again. I'd instructed for 15 years in Calgary. So what a great way to give back to the community. So,
oh, it is.
Helping young people, and it doesn't necessarily be young people, but people with disabilities, as we're now involved with.
Of course.
CAN, was just a great opportunity. So.
But I know you're doing other volunteer things too, no, Mike?
Well, I have 8 different volunteer positions. I think I counted them the other day. But, some still remain in Calgary after years. I still wear a mascot outfit during the Calgary Stampede.
Because you did that for about 27, 28 years?
I've done that for
or more?
22 years.
22? I thought it was more.
Yeah, as a mascot. And I also volunteer for the Calgary Grey Cup Committee that goes to every city and brings Western hospitality to that city where the Grey Cup is hosted each year. And what else have I got? That we do the Highline 100, which is a local charity in Fernie, raises money for fire, as well as FAST.
Maybe that's where I got it.
Yeah, we do some fundraising for FAST. That's been going on for about 14 years, started by Curtis Ritz and Brad Zumwalt and Mike Delich were the 3 people that started that. And so that started in, 15 years ago, whatever that was. So
and that's a ski program, just for people who don't know what FAST means. It just doesn't mean skiing fast.
Yeah, Fernie Alpine Ski Team. And so those people back in the day had some affiliation with the ski team, so they found a way to raise some money, and it's a bike ride that goes for either 100 miles or 100 kilometers, so it's quite substantial. But we have about 100 people each year, and we raise anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 towards those programs, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The one I really like that you do is the one that you do with the Stampede. As a mascot, tell me exactly what you do.
Well, we have 10 different mascot outfits. There's like a bear and a beaver and a cow and a pig, and they're all barnyard animals or some kind of critter. And we put those on each day, and we go down the Stephen Avenue Mall, which is the big pedestrian mall downtown, and we just get pictures and shake people's hands and hug people. And
do you keep the same costume every year?
You can, there's 10 outfits, as I said, which you can use. Anybody can sign up for any outfit.
Okay.
But some of us prefer certain outfits. They either suit you better or it's your part of your character. I like Barnyard Pig the best because he has a chicken puppet on one hand. Actually, it's on your left hand, and it's a chicken, you know, and you put your hand in the beak and you can peck at the kids' hats and stuff, and then they're looking at this big pink pig head, and then they see the chicken and they don't know what to do because they've got both to look at.
Yeah.
And you get them quite enthralled with that. So.
And so you do that every day during
Pretty much for the 10 days.
Stampede.
Yeah. And we do some schools in advance of Stampede. We go to some of the schools in Calgary and we do a breakfast with them, pancake breakfast, and help promote Western hospitality and our Western spirit. And so we walk around while they're serving pancakes and entertaining the children. So as they're waiting to get their food. So yeah, I've done that for like 22 years, I think now.
How did you get involved with Canadian Adaptive Network?
That came through Grace Burlott as well.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, so Grace approached me, and I think Dan Savage were the two people that approached me and said, you might want to be interested, you know, you might be interested in this kind of thing, and it's been great. You know, we're fledgling group, but you know, we're small but mighty, and I think we're going to do some great things in Fernie. Yeah. What a group. How
did the name come about?
For
the Canadian Adaptive Network?
Well, you know, I don't know that because they, it's formulated through Grace and Dan and Sheila, or Stella, I should say. I think the three of them came up with it somehow.
Okay.
So they had started CAN before I arrived in town, and then they approached me to join them. So the Canadian Adaptive Network was already in place when I came in.
Now, I recall being invited to a meeting to discuss this new thing, and I said yes, I would go because I've known Grace, you know, ever since she was born. And then, as it turned out, we ended up with a meeting. So one of my counselors and I were both supposed to go, but then we ended up with this important council meeting. So I never made that meeting. And then after that, I heard that she had gotten a good response. And I thought, okay, she doesn't need me because I've got enough on my plate.
Yeah.
And then I attended that evening.
The awareness evening?
Yes.
Back in June. That was in June of 17.
At the Park Place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a great evening, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought, wow, for Fernie to be able to do something would be great.
Yeah, we've got some great ideas, you know, presented to council, as you know, and that was well received. We presented to the group for the tech community initiatives, also very well received. So. And we met with the CBT, and they've also shown a lot of interest in assistance.
So can you just briefly tell the viewers what exactly our goal is?
Okay.
Because I'm part of that.
Yeah, so the Canadian Adaptive Network, or CAN for short, is a association, non-for-profit association, with a goal or vision of making the Elk Valley, Fernie initially, and then the Elk Valley, our area, more accessible for people with disabilities. So, as you know, right now 1 in 7 Canadians identify as having a disability. They say that is going to grow to 1 in 5 within the next 10 years. We're obviously an aging population. Some of us have some more gray hair than others. However, you know, we have facilities here that maybe aren't friendly towards people with disabilities, and it's not just, everyone thinks of the wheelchair, which is part of it, but you know, it's cognitive disabilities, it's visual, it's hearing, all of those.
Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, so we want to make it friendlier, more accessible for those people so they feel more included in the community.
Because the goal is to be able to have information out there that people can look for and find out if they come to Fernie, what will they find, right? Where can they stay? What will accommodate them?
Absolutely.
And that could be a real plus for Fernie, for tourism as well, because you know, it's funny because you never think of these things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, although I know Grace, I don't I've never given it thought as to, okay, if she goes to Cranbrook, for instance, where can she stay? You know, what restaurants can she go to? You know, you
Yeah.
just take everything for granted.
No, we, thankfully, able-bodied people don't have those challenges, but, if we ever did, and one of the things that I learned when I first started doing disabled skiing was they put you in a position of vulnerability, or disablement, whatever you want to call it. You had to put a blindfold on and ski. You had to ski with one leg. And you really appreciate what these people deal with when you have to try it yourself. So, yeah, Grace going to Cranbrook, or anyone coming to Fernie these days, they may not know what's available for them.
Yeah.
And it's not just, tourism's one, but it's also local people. We want to also make sure that,
Yeah.
there's people that have young children that may have, say, autism, and they go out somewhere where it's the lights are flashing and the sound is loud and echoing.
And that's disturbing.
And that can be a problem for them. So we want to give them some information that says, if you go to this location, they're friendly towards that situation. They've made nice big signs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not flashing.
And the colors.
The colors are friendly.
Yeah.
The noise has been dampened through some kind of system. So, they'll at least understand where they're taking their children, or where they're taking, it could be an adult as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great plus for our community once we get a little more momentum.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I got recruited last year. I gave it thought, and I thought, this would be really good for the city of Fernie,
Yeah.
and for the people that it would affect.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought it would be worth putting my time in.
Yeah, no, that's...
So tell me more about you, though.
Well, as I say, we, my wife and I, Joanne, we don't have any children, so thus a little earlier retirement opportunities.
Yeah, because you were still in your early 50s, weren't you?
57 when I retired,
Oh, okay.
so that wasn't bad. Anyway, we decided that, we had a place in Fernie for 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
and came on the weekends, on that Highway 22 every Saturday or Friday night and Sunday evening. And we just looked forward to the day where we could just come and just not have to drive on back and forth. And Calgary, it's a great place. There was a lot of young people when I went there in the
Mhm.
80s. It was vibrant. It was a great spot. But it's big. And, I grew up in Toronto, which was big, but then when I moved to a small town, which about 4,000 people in Bracebridge, Ontario, I loved it. And I still have lots of good friends there, and I don't really have any friends in Toronto. So...
It's harder, I think, making good friends in big centers like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of, that was why Fernie attracted us. We were lucky enough to find an opportunity for a place in Baines Lake, south of here. And again, it had water, a lakefront, which I grew up with. Being in Ontario, you had lots of those opportunities, but not so much out here in the West. So that finished it off for us. So we sold the Calgary home, and we made ourselves BC residents, and we've been here for 2 years now.
Has there only been 2?
Yeah, 2 years since we joined, since 2017,
Mhm.
when we retired. So we're now residents, and Fernie's big enough to have a cultural, scene, which is
Mhm.
great. Joanne, my wife's involved in the community choir. She's with the Women's Resource Center, and volunteering in those respects. So we have all sorts of opportunities to get
Mhm.
involved in the community.
Yeah, so you're not bored, because at this age that you're at, you're still young and active. And
Yeah.
so in the winter you ski and do all of the outdoorsy things.
Yeah, we like to cross country and downhill and snowshoe and all of those things. We go out to the lake and skate, and I play hockey. I joined the old growth hockey team here.
Oh, did you?
And the thing about being in Fernie for me was that I knew probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 people.
We're going to take a little pause, just because when the heater goes on, it's as loud.
Yeah, so over the last 25 or so years of coming to Fernie, I've probably met 30, 40 different people that I've kept in touch with,
Mhm.
local people. So when I came here as a full-time resident, it wasn't like I was having
Yeah,
to
it
learn
came
how
cold,
the
yeah.
community and learn, to meet people. I had already had a lot of friends and contacts in the community, and now it was just time to be able to spend more time with them and get involved in things like the hockey and the can, we're loving that. And there's more and more people we know that are doing the same thing. This is becoming a very popular place.
It's really amazing because, people say, oh, you're retired. Yeah, you're retired from one job, but in reality, you're just starting all these other different little jobs that aren't so little sometimes.
No, we all know what it's like to volunteer, and you have to be careful because you get to the point where it becomes a lot.
Oh, it becomes more than full time.
You've been there, so
yeah.
So right after this meeting, I have to go to the library and see if we can book the conference room for our meeting on Thursday. Things, just little things that come up, and did the annual return for our society just recently. So it's just it's great to give back and to see the difference it makes in the community, especially.
Well, it does. It really does. Volunteer work. I've always said that volunteers are the heart of the community because all the extras get done by volunteers. And in Fernie, you can name any of the arts and cultural places. You can name like the seniors, the library, the museum, the arts, I don't know what else, but everything you can think of that's extra has been volunteers initiated, volunteers worked at. Even the aquatic center was volunteers. The community center by the arena, that was volunteer driven, initiated and volunteer driven. Like all of the beautiful extras that Fernie enjoys are volunteers. So it's not, it really is. Volunteers are the heart of the community.
Yeah, unfortunately, once you start doing it, you get asked to do more, as you well know.
Well, you know what they say, you want something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah. So, we're gonna find a good home here, and we think we live right now in the ski hill, and I think eventually we'll move back into town here. We'll move into town, and when skiing isn't as, if we can't do it every day kind of thing, or as much as we do that now, then town's a little nicer for us because then you can travel back and forth to the stores and the restaurants without getting in your car.
A little bit easier.
Yeah, so look forward to the day when we can just hang out in town.
Well, maybe I'll see a lot more of you when you're in town.
Yeah.
I had something else I was going to ask you.
I think, Fernie as a community has a lot to offer because of the fact that, you have these long-term residents that have a big, history of being here for so long. Came in the early 1900s as mining families, and a lot of the people are still here. And I really respect those people and what they know about the area, and I look forward to learning a lot more. It's when you come a lot on the weekends like we used to and just ski and go home, you didn't learn a lot about the
you didn't get an opportunity to meet those people.
Yeah, or as much, and some of the people that I've seen, like Terry Nelson, that's written a book about the hiking trails and some of the flora and fauna in the area. Some of the people like Terry Kreiderman, who does a group of I'm not necessarily seniors, but I think they're older retired people that go every Wednesday and snowshoe in the winter and hike in the summer. Just those opportunities to get involved and meet more of these people and understand more about the community and what's going on here, like Laura Nelson and her involvement in the museum. And
there's so many wonderful people that are involved with so many interesting things that, when you first come into a town and you get to know these people, it really expands.
Yeah, like I said, last Monday when we went to Tech Initiative meeting? No, Wednesday, a week ago Wednesday. What a great group of people. And I had no idea that all these things were taking place in our community. All the support networks, all the outreach programs, just like incredible amount of stuff.
There were 7 individuals representing interior health with various various things that they represent, that people have no idea. Even I didn't realize how much help is out there.
Yeah, and that's like, it just opened my eyes, and there's like, my head was swimming with ideas of how to get our association involved with these various groups. And we're already reaching out to the Canadian Mental Health Association.
Yeah.
And I see great things that could happen in the community with
Yes,
this.
it's quite interesting that although there's so much help, like for instance, there's the Women's Center, and there's still women that don't realize just how much they offer. And it's not for lack of putting out the information, but unless you're really involved with something, even though the information is out there, you don't really hear it or see it, even if it's in front of your eyes. That's what I'm finding. That you really need to be a little bit immersed in something, or at least have friends that can tell you. So somehow there's got to be a way to get information out there more for people that need that help the most.
And I think that our Canadian Adaptive Network, we talked about a database, information source, whatever you call it. And I think that's where those ideas were coming up in that session the other day is, we could put that sort of information on this, because people with disabilities are the vulnerable as well. They're the seniors, the people that, live alone in isolation.
Yes.
And these are the people that need to understand these things. So if we can start to get a place where it's kind of a central location people can go to, it doesn't have to be the senior, it could be their caregiver or their child, or someone says, hey, let's go look here and see what we can get for dad or mom or somebody that we can help. And if they have a central place that connects the Canadian Mental Health Association, the Interior Health, public health nurse information that they provide, and the other gentleman I met from the what were they called, the Central Response Network. What was that?
Oh, the critical response.
Yeah, I should know the acronym, but he's asked me to volunteer. But anyway,
Yeah.
so that was interesting, because that's for the vulnerable population, primarily seniors, and I had no idea that existed. And now all these things, if we could put them in some way and package
In
it so
one place.
people could understand
Yeah.
all the support available.
That would be an amazing thing if we could accomplish that with this group,
Yeah.
with CAN.
So that was an idea that came across.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you hang on to that idea, because I think it's one worth working at.
yeah, we've got lots of opportunities in this community. So we look forward to being here for many years, my wife and I, and we've got a lot of friends in the ski hill that did what we do and still do, which is come down on weekends, and we get together with them as a little community. Usually in the Grizz Bar on Saturday after you finish skiing. That's a whole new network of people, or an old network but then you come into town and you get together with yourself and with these people that are interested in the healthcare, and it's a whole nother group of people. So it's a great, best of both worlds.
Over the years, with visitors, when I've spoken with them, they've always said Fernie is a real community. And in the beginning, years ago, I thought, what do they mean by that? Because, for me, having been raised here, Fernie's always been a real community, but I didn't understand exactly what they meant by that.
Yeah.
And have you ever heard that term?
Yeah, I think it's different than, Canmore or Banff or some of the other resort towns. Whistler might be a good example as well, where, they solely arose from the tourism industry. Whereas Fernie had its own community that was based on, unlike, tourism, and it was mining, forestry, all those primary industries. So, like you say, there's a long-standing, there's the Elks, there's the Rotary, there's all those things established.
Oh,
in
all the
long-term
old groups.
service clubs, yeah.
At one time, they used to have Rebecca's and the IOF Hall people.
Foresters and everything, yeah.
It was just like so many different groups, the Masons, and Fernie was full of organizations.
Yeah. So as a so that really makes it a community versus having just everything focused on tourism.
Do you think that that's one of the reasons then that you gravitated towards Fernie? Because you could have gone to Canmore instead.
Yeah. Again, a lot of it's having all those people I knew that are here anyways for the weekends, and then having all these people I've met in town over the years. Again, it's not like we had to move to a new city, town, and start over again.
Mm-hmm.
Just start meeting people. We knew so many people.
I've always been intrigued by what I call the secondary homeowners like you, who, came to Fernie and then decided this is where they want to retire. And there's quite a few that have done that.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by the reasons, what brought them here, what kept them here, what keeps them here.
Yeah, well, Baines Lake is a good example. We moved out there last year, and it's just great. Like we're right into that community now. So
I know, because you told me all the things that you've been doing.
we go to the market at Baines Lake is big, as you know, and that's a bit of a tourist thing, but it's nice. And now Joanne joined Folks, which is the Friends of Lake Kookanusa Society.
Oh,
so she's the secretary there.
Oh, they found her a job.
Well, all we had to do was go to dinner with our neighbor, and they brought over another friend, and next thing you know, he's phoning her to get. So, and we've gone to the Jaffrey breakfasts. We've gone to the Grassmere salad lunch they have once a year.
Beautiful, yeah.
And you meet these people that have also some of them been in the community, and many of them were Fernie people too. So they've moved out there in retirement, and so they have lots of stories and history around the community and in the area, and so it's fascinating to listen to them and what went on back in the day here and there. And so Baines Lake has its own charm, and it's pretty quiet, but people look in on each other. If you don't show up for the pancake breakfast one day, then people are going to be calling you and finding out why you're not there. And we're a little younger than some of the people we met, but that doesn't matter. We still have a lot of fun with them. We go play cards with them. We have dinner with them. It's a lot of fun. It's a whole other group of people up there. But they know a lot of the people in town.
Oh yeah, and
So
you're absolutely right. There's a lot of Fernie people that have gone to Baines Lake.
Yeah, and even these breakfasts we go to, or the dinners, they have the dinners once a month. People would come up from Fernie, right? So you're seeing the same people there that you saw in Fernie at some function. So it's like a big group of people.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
Family, the whole area.
Yeah, and if you need a hand with anything, these guys, some of the guys I've met out there, they're really handy people, like Bob from BK Welding, Bob Corn, like he could basically build you a car if you needed it. And
he used to be my neighbor.
And my neighbor down there is Steve Bezak, and Steve is a heavy duty mechanic. He's got every tool known to man. If you needed a hand with something, like I had a leak in my propane line, and he was over there in a heartbeat helping me out. It doesn't happen like that in the big cities. So that's one of the big things we like about it is getting that sense of community and friendship. So it's great.
So that's what makes it real.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. And there'll be times they'll need our help too, right? So we're there for them.
Well, that's what it is though, right? It's give and take.
Yeah.
That's what keeps the relationship going, what keeps the town going.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to many years here.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, Fernie's pretty lucky. I know in the past I've heard comments from some of the Fernie born and raised people. In the beginning, they weren't too thrilled with the fact that we had so many people coming here and so many visitors. I'm sure I know exactly why. Most of it is to do with the fact that it brought up the cost of housing. And,
No, I agree. I think there is, there is a challenge here, and housing's a big piece of it around affordability, and we need to try and address that in some fashion, longer term. Friends that I know that are native, grew up here, they say their kids can't afford to own a home in town anymore. So I feel for that. But I mean, the story's the same in a lot of towns across this country, whether it's Toronto, Vancouver, wherever you go, the kids can't afford to buy it. But I think Fernie's got opportunities because we have some land and we have some places we could expand to that might be able to accommodate. You know, we just, you know, I know we've got these housing associations that are looking into it and we're trying to get that, but it is a, you're right, Mary, it is a big challenge for the local people who have young children to find a way to sustain life in Fernie.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm glad that Fernie is as vibrant as it is.
Yeah. And
even though it has, you know, the cost is having high cost of real estate. That is like a cost not only to the value of the home, but a cost to the value of the people living in Fernie. And
yeah, but I think there's enough good people here that it will figure out a way to make it work. Because as I say, it's not a challenge that's unique to us. It's a challenge that this country faces every year.
Yeah, it's true.
And the governments have said they're going to look into it. So there's some good things happening. You know, I know the BC government's got some housing initiatives and stuff. And as you know, being in Fernie, we have to be very vocal and get our hand up there in a hurry because we're not in the Lower Mainland. And
no.
We have to be a little more forceful in the way we get ourselves into these opportunities because it is happening, but it's not necessarily coming to these schools. There's still people who don't know where Fernie is. I answered a survey with BC Stats yesterday about, you know, active transportation choices that you make. You know, do you take the train? Do you take the bus? And I'm like, no, this is Fernie. And she said, well, what'd you say? How'd you spell that? So she was taking a survey for BC and she had to look it up. She said, oh, there it is, Fernie. I said, yeah, it's Fernie. I said, we're in a different time zone. Oh, really? So it was kind of funny because they just right there and then knew this person was calling from Vancouver.
The people from the Lower Mainland really don't know, a lot of them really don't know where Fernie is.
But we're still proud
you
to
need
be.
A minute?
Still proud to be Albertans.
Oh yeah.
Or not remember.
Mike, do you ever regret or miss your life working?
Working?
No. Or Calgary?
Calgary a little bit, but nothing to do with the work side of it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Some people used to say they love to work and live to work. Well, I worked so I could live. You know, I looked forward to the day when I wasn't going to the office. Not that it was unpleasant. It was just I like to be outside. I like to be doing things other than sitting behind a desk. So I don't miss that part of it. And the traffic, I used to ride my bike to work every day, so it didn't bother me too much with traffic. And I did that all year round. But so I kind of missed the bike riding to work, I guess. That'd be one. I missed the hockey group, but I've been able to supplant that with the older group here, which is great. And I miss the a bunch of us used to get together. We called it the Church of Monday Night Football. So it was just a bunch of rabble that got together and watched the Monday Night Football game. And it was to catch up. We've been doing it for 30 years in Calgary. We would catch up with, you know, what happened over the weekend, what people were up to. So I miss those social things, hockey and watching the football on Mondays. But I found the hockey here. And there was even a group that gets together and watches football on Monday here, much smaller, but it's still a group. So, yeah, other than that, Calgary doesn't have any appeal. I mean, people that like to go to the malls and the theater, or the theater, that's a cultural thing, but you can always drive in if you want for your favorite performances. But, you know, if you like the malls and you like the shopping and the stores and all that stuff. I mean, that's not where I was, so But
you can only do so much shopping. You can only buy so much stuff.
Yeah, my wife gives me heck because I'm like, she's going, well, why don't you get a new pair of this or another one of those? And I'm like, well, it works fine.
Yeah.
I've had it for 10, 15 years, but it still works. I don't want to get rid of it. So people always say, well, I can go and get the latest or the greatest of something, and it's like, why would I? If it just, being from the Scottish family, you got to learn that you either made do with what you had or you didn't get it. Right? So So I still practice that here. Yeah, very few opportunities to buy it and shop unless I really need it.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Well, I really appreciate the fact that you and Joanne decided to make Fernie your permanent home, because you have added a whole lot, both of you,
Thank
to
you.
what goes on in Fernie. And you're so quiet, you don't really brag about all that you do, but I know you do a whole lot. And as you said, eight and maybe 9 coming up that you might be
maybe.
involved with,
Yeah,
because I know somehow the seniors group that they've got going in Sparwood, they had asked me if I could head that here in Fernie, but I know the ladies that are doing it over there, and I thought with everything else that I'm doing,
Yeah.
I just,
It
at
was
this
good.
moment, I cannot take it over. But,
Yeah.
and I asked you, and
Oh.
you said, well, I'll think about it. So here you
And
are
I'm
thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Doug a little more about what he
Mhm.
envisions the role. I really want to make sure I don't lose and dilute the focus on CAN, because I think that
Yeah.
Canadian Adaptive
Yeah, well,
Network
this is it.
has got some really, so I don't want to sort of push it
Mhm.
aside and start focusing on a new thing and
Yeah.
then and lose momentum. So we'll see. We'll see. Never say never, but
Anyway, there you go. Might be a 9th one. So you're doing lots. You're
Yeah.
definitely not retired.
no, it's a lot of fun. It's a
Mhm.
lot of fun. But you still make time for yourself, obviously. And,
Yeah, you
and
have to.
I mean, retirement has been, you still wake up and don't realize it, after 2 years. You still think that, the weekend's going to finish and you're going to go back to work.
Isn't it funny though how long it takes to get that routine out of your head?
That
Just
Monday morning when you wake up and it's like, oh, wait a minute. I don't have to go anywhere right away today. I might have something later in the day,
yeah.
but nothing,
For
8
me,
o'clock in the morning.
it's Saturdays. It was like every Friday night. If I watched TV till 11, then the next morning I would have to start an hour later to do all that work of reading and preparing for meetings.
The next day.
And so it took me, I think, 4 or 5 months before.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was going to sneeze. Before I realized that I have a Saturday free.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to read. And for the first 2-3 months, it was like, I got to find something to do.
Yeah.
Okay, what else can I do? Like, I can't just lie around doing nothing.
Yeah.
Really
exactly.
strange. Not that you want to do it, it's just that force of habit.
And the other thing that happens with which I found, and maybe you have as you get older, is time just flies by. Like, I mean, young people, you thought you had the world by the tail and you'd be living forever. And then as you get older, you kind of go, oh, wait a minute now. Maybe I'm not going to be around in 30 years from now or 25 or whatever it might be. So you say, well, this time goes a little faster now. Not that it's bad, it's just different.
I just remember when I was 14 being introduced to this young woman, and I said to her, how old are you? And she said 18, and I thought, holy cow, she's old. And then I met somebody who was 25, and I thought, wow. So when I hit 18, I didn't think anything of it, and then 25, by the time I was 26, I had 4 children. And then I stopped thinking about time because I was too busy.
Too busy.
Too busy doing things. And next thing you know, I found myself being 40 years old, and I thought, and my youngest was already 15. And I thought, well, what am I going to do now? And so I thought, I think I'll go to the college and take a bunch of courses. And, and I was a bit frightened because it'd been a long time since I had taken courses, but I had been one of those voracious readers, and I used to ask the library to bring me books from the University of Victoria because you could lend. And
Right.
I remember the librarian saying to me, are you taking a course? And I said, no, I just want to know, I just want to read what the university people are reading. And so going back was okay. Then, I learned how to type and learned some business things. And so, and then I went off to work. I found jobs.
Yeah.
And
well,
it was
I just
okay.
joined the Canadian Ski Patrol, so as a volunteer, and part of the reason was you had to go through all the 80 hours of first aid training for advanced first aid. So it was, again, learning something new.
Yeah.
You know, you had to read all the material and do the testing, practical and exams, and it was a way to keep your brain active, right? So
It's true. It's
so
good.
That's been great. I'm doing it again this year, and
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to learning more and practicing more on first aid, because it's a good skill to have, and plus you get to learn about what goes on the ski hills behind the scenes, and that's kind of interesting. You know, people don't appreciate what all goes on up there to get things ready to go for the public to ski.
Yeah.
You know, they think it just shows up and everything's ready to
Right.
go. It's takes a huge manpower, you know, and that's part of the local economy is too. You know, there's ski patrol people. I think there's 40 or 50 of them that are employed to help out with that organization. So yeah, learning new skills and finding ways to help the community. That's what it's all about for the next, hopefully, quite a while.
Oh, you're only. Did you have a birthday this year?
I've had one, yeah, in May. Yeah, it's turned 60.
Right. So you're still a baby.
That's right. Yeah. Although when I say the word, sometimes it does scare me a little bit, because again, when you think back to when you were 20 and your parents were 60 or whatever,
I thought they
you
were.
thought, this is it.
Yeah.
They're just seniors now. But now you think of yourself at that age and you go, well, I don't feel like that. I feel pretty young.
I made my mother a grandmother when she was 38.
There you go. So
And I thought she was old. I felt old back then.
Yeah, but that's the way
you
it
know,
was
age
then.
is just a state of mind.
It is.
It
And
really is.
as long as you can keep going, you know, the things you got to do is keep, you know, you have to keep your mind active, your body active, and part of that is nutrition. So it's physical exercise, nutrition, and mental stimulation.
Yeah.
If you have those three things going for you, you're going to live a long time.
Yeah, I believe that.
And that's what I live by. So we don't always follow it religiously, but we try.
Who wants to? You got to have a little fun sometimes.
Yeah. But that's you know, if you can keep that going, you're going to feel young until you're hopefully real old. Not like us young people.
My maternal grandmother was 103 when she passed away.
Perfect. Well, you'll have to push that a couple of years.
I wouldn't mind living to be 103, but I would like to have my faculties.
Yeah.
I'd like to be still productive.
Well, and that's why this Canadian Adaptive Network is going to
Yeah.
be great, because you know we're all going to eventually need some additional help, and
Yeah.
if we can make this community more accessible for all of us, I think we've done a good thing.
Well, I want to thank you, Mike,
Thank you,
for
Mary,
all that you
the
do for
opportunity.
Fernie. Thank you, and thank you for being here to talk with me.
It's been
I
wonderful. Thank
appreciate
you.
that. And thank you for joining Life and Times in Fernie.